What up guys, this is the last part for the one tech for every character in Smash Ultimate series. Whoa, thanks a lot for your support in the series, it means a lot. I'm glad you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed becoming the best random main on YouTube. This has been super fun. Anyway, yeah, let's get into it. Today we finish off with the low and bottom tiers. A new tier list came out between parts, that's fun, but I think it makes a lot of sense that we just keep going off the 2024 list so we don't get any skips or repeats, right? Cool, yeah, so it's these 11 guys to finish off the series. You know the rules. It doesn't have to be super good, but it can't be basically useless either, and it also can't be something super obvious like, did you know Mewtwo players love to use aerials on their way back to the stage, and I can't blame them. Doing this is super fun. So starting out for Villager, maybe you thought I was going to talk about reversing bucket for movement, but you know me man, it's too easy. So I brought another fun one in that Pokelam sent me. He's a Villager player from New York who recently won a tournament I hosted on my Discord. He's cool, and he sent me a video about something called Sticky Lloid, aka my college nickname. So Sticky Lloid is a pretty amazing tech that lets your side B, the Lloid Rocket, hang out at ledge for a little while, and it can severely mess up low recoveries. Because it sits here for a while, the window for getting a hit in is pretty lenient. Just make sure you know your opponent is recovering low, because if they're going high then they could just avoid it, right? But if you know the path they're gonna take, if you know they're going low, then yeah, here's what you do. It's pretty easy, just go off stage, and when you're aligned with the ledge, just use side B and hold away on your left stick. You can jump out if you want to, you can stay here, and usually if you want to avoid snapping to ledge, you gotta hold down on your left stick, but in this case, Lloid makes it so you don't snap to ledge anyway. So you can just hold back and you're good. This one's really cool. Thanks to Pokelam again for some of the footage you're seeing. Cool. Let's move on to my boy Ike. Alright, for my boy Ike, we have Footstool Up-B Out of Shield. Ike is a good character in my opinion, shout out, you know, to my latest video, but he does struggle with his out of shield game sometimes. He doesn't have the best get off B moves, you gotta settle for jab or grab out of shield a lot, and Up-B Out of Shield can be amazing if it hits, but it is frame 15, which means it's not super slow, but out of shield, it's not very consistent. It's uncommon for people to land on you with 15 frames of vulnerability. As Ike, if you really want an Up-B Out of Shield, you gotta use it preemptively because it has a ton of armor and you take the damage, but you land this insanely powerful hit. So that's cool. If you want a safer shot at it though, you can Footstool Up-B Out of Shield. And it turns your frame 15 Up-B that kills ridiculously early into a frame 4 at best and frame 9 at worst Up-B that kills ridiculously early. It's great. I almost didn't choose this as a tech because footstool combos are not unique to Ike. There's a lot of characters that can get things out of a footstool, but Footstool Up-B is a little weird. You know, I know Footstool Down Air, there's Footstool Down Gun, and other, you know, Footstool Disable with Mewtwo and stuff, but Up-B is a weird thing to get out of a footstool. The reason it works is because Up-B's animation kind of makes Ike put his sword below him for a little bit, and that has a hitbox. I don't think there's many or any characters that can get Up-B out of a footstool, so cool, my boy Ike, let's go. It is kind of difficult though, so you gotta practice the input and the timing and stuff. Maybe set your jump to one of the shoulder buttons to make it easier, and disclaimer, it really only works against unspaced moves, so you know, don't try it if you parry and I don't know, Byleth, Tipper back air or something, right? That won't work. But most characters without any disjoints or big moves like Mario or Falcon or DK, you can jump out of shield, double jump, and buffer in an Up-B. In my experience, it's not an IDJ, an instant double jump, if you know what those are. It's a jump and a double jump right after. There's a difference, right? An IDJ is you do it immediately, and in this case, you kind of need to wait a little bit. But yeah, so again, you should try this out in training mode. It's super fun, and it helps out a ton because, you know, out of shield game, that's kind of an Ike weakness. And yeah, cool. My boy Ike, let's go. Bowser Jr. was a tough one because there's not a lot of tech for them online, but I found this video by Beefy Smash Dudes about Wendy. I think there was like a joke going on around that time where a bunch of Smash YouTubers uploaded Wendy content, I don't know, Wendy posting, but this one had some cool info because I didn't know this, but if you're good at the game, you can pretty much control what direction Mecha Koopa sends your opponents towards, which means you can hit someone with it and they'll be knocked towards you and you can get a back air or something. So C5 for Beefy Smash Dudes figured out how, and it's basically like this explosion here always sends opponents towards their back, regardless of the direction you or your opponent are facing. If you hit someone in front of you, they get sent away, and if you hit someone from behind, it'll spin them around first, they end up facing you, and then it blows up and sends them away. So it's almost like regardless of what you do, the game makes sure your opponent will always be facing you so that they get sent away. You might know the mechanic in Smash Ultimate where if a move is weak and you hit someone from behind, it'll always turn opponents around. But if a move is strong enough to put opponents in hit stun, then it doesn't turn them around. That's kind of a universal thing, and keeping this in mind with this setup I'm about to show you, this information I'm about to share, can end up being pretty fun. So alright, as soon as you hit your opponent with a Mecha Koopa, if it hits them from the back, it turns them around, right? Again, that's the aim, making sure the explosion always ends away. But also this means that if you're precise, you can hit them with a sour spot in air after this spinny animation, and because the move is kind of weak, it'll turn them around again. And it's basically like you're making this 180-degree spin, 360-degree spin, and they end up with their backs facing you instead of away, ensuring that the explosion sends them towards you instead of away. So that's cool, but it sounds like this only works if you land Mecha Koopa on their back, which can be a little tricky to do. But if you hit them from the front, you can still get the setup if you cross them up and hit them after the Mecha Koopa sticks to them, so that even though they don't turn around because they're already facing away, they're still getting sent towards you because you push them away and their back is still facing you. So that's how it works. Again, it can be a little tricky to get. I had a lot of trouble writing this part of the script because I was like, am I saying it right? But from what I've seen, people who main low tiers are super dedicated to low tiers. So if you're junior main, you're probably dedicated enough to learn it, right? So for Isabelle, I know I said these couldn't be useless, but I mean, it's not useless. It is kind of funny looking, but you can make use of it because it's movement tech, and movement tech is never useless, especially if you're Isabelle, because this character is super annoying to fight. But this might make someone think you're cool, maybe. So yeah, there's this video that Squishy from my Discord sent over to me called How to Glide Lloid by Salad Fox, and it looks silly. Here's what you do. Just make sure you have your down B set up somewhere, input a dash, then down B, and just keep holding forward, and you'll slide for a little bit. It's fun for approaching, fun for running away. You can do some cool mind games like making people think they need to watch out for you approaching, which will trick them into ending up getting hit by the Lloid rocket. You can get aerials or fishing rod out of it. Isabelle is one of my least played characters. I very rarely play projectile zoners, but even I wanted to try this out online. It's super fun. Like always, all my sources are in the description. Cool. Let's talk about the monkey. Alright, so the new tier list came out a little while ago, right? At least as of the time of this video's release. And something interesting in this new ranking is that DK went up by a lot, and I'm not someone who really trusts tier list all that much, but the Smash Ultimate DK revolution, you know, the DK renaissance is upon us. And a little while ago I found this on Twitter by Chunky Kong. We love Chunky Kong, and it's the parry up tilt cancel. Parry up tilt cancels are something that a lot of characters can do. As far as I know, if your character has a fast-ish single hit up tilt without a disjoint, it'll work best because this involves trading a hit, and if it's a sword up tilt, it'll just win the trade. And multi-hits, as rare as they are, if you land a starting hit, for example, there's a chance of you losing the trade, but DK's up tilt is perfect for this. Same goes for Dedede, Little Mac, and Rool. A bunch of other characters that coincidentally also show up in this video. But, you know, don't worry, I'm not doing repeats. So what you gain from PUTC is a new out of shield option, assuming you want to take the risk and go for a parry. If you don't do intentional parries, maybe get that idea into your head and then start labbing this out. But yeah, basically, DK's out of shield game, like Ike, is not the best. Jumping to aerial up B is a good workaround, giving you a frame 7 out of shield move. That's not bad, it's pretty good. If you're ready to step up your game though, here's another thing you can do. This only works against multi-hits, because I mean, if you parry a single hit move, you just get a parry up tilt, right? But don't worry, there's tons of multi-hit aerials people land with, and what separates the parry up tilt cancel from a normal parry up tilt is that this time your up tilt will trade, which means it won't have the same amount of knockback a normal up tilt would, and you will be able to get some racist follow-ups out of it. Again, I found this on Twitter, and there's actually a bunch of people on Twitter talking about different parry up tilt cancels with other characters. But here's a video from Chunky Kong's YouTube channel that goes into it with better detail and also stops you from having to visit twitter.com. You're welcome. Go check him out. Robin's tech is really cool. You might know that Levin's or down smash is a great move for 2-framing because it has a huge hitbox and it's really strong, but if you miss it, you are left super open. A cool thing you can do instead is Elwind, the up-B. It can end up being amazing at catching people on their way back to the stage. The main issue with this is that it requires super precise positioning, because if you get it wrong, the Elwind will just hit the floor, but this tech is all about helping you land this consistently, and it's super easy. There's an amazing video by B that I left in the description, go check it out. She explains the physics of it in a really interesting way, and it has to do with the fact that Robin's Elwind normally spawns in under their feet, but if they're grounded, the game has to account for that and instead move Elwind and spawn it in a spot where it wouldn't overlap with the floor. Makes sense, makes sense. Usually this just moves Elwind up a bit and that's that. According to B, if you do this as close to the ledge as possible, the move will be relocated because it's grounded, sure, but L-Wind will just hit the floor and despawn. So if you want this to hit below ledge without colliding with the stage, you need to inch forward a little bit, and you need to get this just right. Some might say it's too precise to even bother trying, but like I said earlier, there's a workaround, and it's dash attack. Doing it towards the ledge will space you perfectly, so Robin ends up in the exact spot where if you input your up B, it will spawn in just a little bit differently, and instead the L-Wind will come out here, hitting well below ledge. Cool. A little more context, if you miss, you'll fly away and you'll be safe from getting punished, which is nice. Just make sure that you're aware you are giving up the ledge trapping phase, which is something Robin is pretty good at, but hey, I mean, if it lands, you'll be happy, and it spikes, so that's fun. Alright, for Mewtwo, we know people who play this character love to do silly stuff at ledge. There's the double jump fair, double jump confusion, disable, and there's a thing I said at the intro where they like to do aerials on their way up, and this is yet another fun trick you can do to get out of the corner. It's called the instant ledge get up. I found it on this video by Bebop, and it's basically just a quicker ledge neutral get up. All you gotta do is let go of the ledge, jump and air dodge while DIing in, and because you're Mewtwo, people are always wondering what you're gonna do at ledge because this cat has like a million tricks he can play with you at ledge, and they'll likely be conditioned into just holding shield on you and reacting. The counterplay to this can be confusion from ledge. Confusion is the side beat and it goes through shields. So that's cool, but it's always good to never run out of tricks, and this has such low lag, you might bait people into trying to punish a neutral getup. That's fun, and you'll be able to punish them back because again, this has no lag. Just watch out because unlike your neutral getup, you get no invincibility here. This is kind of just a fun, subtle optimization to your neutral getup at worst, and a funky ledge mind game at best, you know, if you're good. Alright, so you know how Crown has armor and a lot of K-Rools like to use it. Like if you're playing against K-Rool and you're getting ready to kill him off stage, he got sent super far and barely survived, he has no jump, no air dodge, and you hit him, but he doesn't care because he's in the Crown animation. Yeah, that's a thing K-Rools like to do, and it's pretty good. But every time I see the Crown be thrown for the armor, it's thrown towards the stage. And it makes sense. If you're K-Rool here, you're throwing it in the direction of your opponent, right? It makes sense. Even if you don't really think that it's gonna hit, I mean, the crown has to come out, right? And what you want from this is the move's armor. So even if it misses, like, who cares? You tanked an edge guard. That's all you needed. But still, you know, why not just throw it towards your opponent? You know, why? Where else would you throw it? What could possibly be the point of throwing it towards the other direction? Makes sense. But I was looking for cool K-Rool footage in this game with Bruja against Zomba, and there were some situations where Bruja threw the crown outside instead of inside while recovering. So I haven't seen a lot of K-Rool players do this, mostly because I haven't seen a lot of K-Rool players in general, but it makes a lot of sense. If you're at above-ish ledge height, it covers ledge, it covers this path back to the stage, so your opponents have to decide quickly if they want to go for an edge guard or not. You can throw in a blunderbuss and recover super low without any interruptions. And if you know you're gonna make it back before the hitbox stops being active, it'll help you get out of ledge trapping. This works better as a mix-up because you kind of have to anticipate it and do it early. And when K-Rools throw the crown towards the stage, that's kind of on reaction as soon as they see their opponent is running off stage. And that is still probably a better option, because if you throw the crown early, then your armor might run out and you can get edge guarded. But if you feel like you've fallen into a pattern here and your opponent is going to try to hit you before you pull out the crown, you can do it preemptively, like I said, and call out an edge guard. You can do it early and you might lose some armor frames or lose them completely, but the crown's hitbox will still be there and it'll be, you know, kind of a disruption to people trying to edgeguard you. And it's pretty interesting. I feel like K-Rool has some really cool potential because throwing the crown towards the stage to take the hit and recover is just such a great option sometimes, until we fight someone who knows how to deal with it and we forget that there's other ways to defend yourself off stage. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So for my favorite character in the game, just kidding, he's a cheater, I hate him. Alright, never mind. The more I talk about Lil Mac's cheese addiction, the more whiny and annoying I'll get. No offense to Little Mac mains, I'm just bad at the game, but alright, here's something that's actually cool that he can do, that I think if there's any character in this game that should be able to do it, it's him. First of all, because he needs it, because he sucks, and also because it's kind of his thing to be good on the ground, right? This is the sliding spot dodge. I found it on this video by Mac Nation, and it basically lets you cross up shields while in the ground and also without using a tilt or a smash stack or anything, just a spot dodge. This can catch a ton of people off guard. There's a bunch of characters that have a good out of shield game, but pretty much everyone's option options get weaker once they need to auto shield someone who's behind them. Unless you're Game & Watch, but if you're a normal person, then yeah, your auto shield option might end up only hitting in front of you and you'll mess up and you'll get punished for it, which is why crossing people up is really good. And yeah, it looks like Little Mac can do it without even inputting a move, you just run and spot dodge. If you have KO Punch, you can bait out options out of shield and punish them by killing him at 20. Cool, but also in general, Mac hits really hard and he really needs every opening he can get. But the thing with cross-ups is that usually they happen when you land on someone, and if you're Little Mac, being in the air is not a very fun experience. So, well, now you have a better way to play around with crossing up opponents without having to jump. The input is pretty simple in terms of what you press, but the timing can be kind of tight, so make sure you practice this. You're basically just doing a spot dodge out of a run, but because Mac has funny physics and he's really fast, if you input this right, he gets to keep some of his momentum, and you can use this to slip past people's shields. Or you can just run and spot dodge if you want to be stylish, you know, dash through Young Link Arrow or something. You don't always need to do this to a shield, but it is really good for cross-ups. All you gotta do is just run, and as you're running, quickly roll your left stick down and press spot dodge, and you'll slide a little, and there you go. Cool, have fun breaking some ankles. Just make sure you get the timing down and make sure you get it right. And also remember, spot dodge is gonna stale, so don't spam it or you'll get less out of it. I never thought I'd say this, but if a Little Mac player did this to me, I'd be like, cool, you know, no complaining here, I got owned. Alright, for Dedede, I kinda had a hard time because the inhale to up tilt thing, I feel like it's too obvious. But there is one that might also be too obvious, but trust me, I'm gonna go into an aspect of this tech that you probably didn't know about. So the Gordo stick is a tech that Dedede can do. It lets him place the Gordo here at ledge and it'll mess up certain recoveries, and as a certified low recovery fan, this always messes me up, it sucks. But there's another way to set it up that doesn't require short hopping or full hopping off stage, and that is just to snipe the ledge with it on your way back to the stage. So let's say you got sent flying off stage and you're on your way back, and as Dedede, you can already be tricky to edgeguard because you'll be able to throw out a million aerials, which is great. But in this video by Density_, I learned that you might have another option that looks really cool when it works. So Density just called it the Gordo Stick Snipe, and it's a different way to execute the Gordo Stick I mentioned earlier. It's basically just the same tech, except turns out you can stick the Gordo while recovering. You can snipe the ledge, make it back, and you'll get some really cool reversals on people who made the mistake of trying to edgeguard you. It takes some positioning, you really need to know the spacing and trajectory or whatever, but what's fun about this is that you can basically just practice it in game, because you can just throw it out, right? Just try it out in training mode to get an idea on where you should be and go back to playing. And next time you get sent out off stage, shoot out Gordo on your way back, and if you land the snipe, cool, and if you don't, you still throw out the Gordo to defend yourself off stage. It's not like you die if you miss the stick snipe, it's basically no risk, so that's cool. Alright, to end this super cool series, we have the old man, Ganondorf. And initially, I wanted to do a super simple one. I was just gonna say you can down tilt under a platform and kill someone at 20. But I mean, what? I just say that and the video's over? Like, come on. No. And so enjoy that little bonus setup. But officially, the last tech for the One Tech for Everyone series is the MGK Ganondorf playlist. Nah, I'm kidding. I'll pick my favorite one from all these videos, but oh my god, this was very difficult because everything in here is so cool. MGK Ganondorf is a genius Ganon player, but for now, here's one thing I dug up. No, actually, because Ganon is the worst character in the game and I'm in a good mood, you guys get my top 5 techs from this playlist. A little lightning round, they'll be quick. It's all so good. Partly it's because I just couldn't choose because this playlist is full of cool things. Go check these videos out and you'll understand why it was so hard to pick just one. So the first one is tapping the shield button after a dash attack at low percents. This is a mix-up for when you know your opponent is gonna use a quick get off me aerial after your dash attack if they like to mash out a hit stun like me, and if you tap your shield, it's a free parry. And if they air dodge, you can, you know, because you tapped shield, you can just let go and punish that too. At mid percents, you need to wait in time to parry, but that's reactable, so it's still fun. And if you get this at ledge, you can spike them. Oh my god, I love this character. This is great. The second one, I might get some shit for this because it's really simple, but I like this one a lot. Usually when I play Ganon, I like the dash attack up air. That's like a classic Ganondorf kill confirm. It's good for combos, good damage, good positioning. But apparently, you can get a forward air from the late hit of dash attack. That's crazy. I didn't know it was fast enough. I didn't know. So that's cool. And because it's forward air, it kills really early. It's crazy. The third Ganon tech is a shield break setup, and it involves jabbing a shield using flame choke. And if you can read your opponent's deck roll, you can do aerial down B and break a shield if they hold it. Jab has some good pushback on shield, and because flame choke makes you step back for a little, it can kinda act like a spot dodge and it'll beat out pretty much every shield grab. which makes this setup pretty consistent outside of the read. You gotta get the read. That can be tricky depending on your opponent, or you could just guess, and if they hold shield on you, then it's over. Shield break, it's done. The fourth one, you might already know it, but it's the late hit of up airs, jab luck potential. Look at this. Cool, good luck doing it. Alright, for the very last deck of the series, for real this time, it's the ledge drop, double jump, down air. It's pretty easy, and it's nice at 2-framing because it's huge, and even the sour spot is really good. And you do it by hanging from ledge, and then letting go, holding in towards the stage, and then double jump and down air, while still holding in towards the stage. The fun part about this one is that you land on stage with basically no lag. If you miss, you can bait out get up attacks, and if you fumble it and don't land on stage, you can side B back, maybe you get a ledge jump, or do a Ganon side if you're lucky or unlucky, depending on how the stock count is looking like, right? And that's it. Wow, whoa, we're done. This has been one tag for every character in Smash Ultimate. Thank you so much for watching, whether you saw the entire series or only came to see your main stack and go. That's cool, that's awesome, that's fair. I hope you got something cool out of it, something saucy. I had a ton of fun making this series, picking up new characters, talking to a bunch of interesting people on character discords. It was great. I'm gonna go now. Stay tuned for a supercut of the entire thing with some fun corrections and updates and stuff, because, you know, maybe I made a couple mistakes here and there. I'll own up to it. Alright, I'll fess up. But I still had a pretty good track record overall, though. It's probably gonna be like less than 5 or 5-ish, I don't know. And then obviously I have a ton of big plans for the channel. I have like 10 tabs open with a bunch of video ideas, so stay tuned. Check out the Patreon if you want to, the second channel. Join the Discord if you want a free penthouse in Chicago, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Ooh, oh, oh.